All right, LaKeith, thank you so much for being with us here today. My name is Leo Brady. I'm with amovieguy.com. My first question is, working with Daniel, this is a Get Out reunion for you guys on this film. Are you able to sort of put into words how your relationship with him grew with making this film? I don't know if it was, did you guys come closer in the process of this?
Hello. We definitely became closer. It was just, first of all, I was proud of him for taking on an American hero like Fred Hampton, and just the amount of work and diligence that he put toward the character was inspiring for me every single day, and I'm endlessly grateful for that. And then off screen, you're just a beautiful human being. He's so intelligent and insightful. And it's always a good time when we're together. So I appreciate him. You know, I told him, we got to do another one after this. And he's like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you're 2 for 2.
Yeah.
Great. Hi, this is Mike Crowley from You'll Probably Agree. Has your viewpoint changed on William O'Neill, like when you did this project? Because like when you see him from Fray One, immediately I had an opinion on this guy. But as the movie went on, things got really complicated.
Yeah, it did change. My opinion started off being a very sort of general idea of this guy, someone that I felt is a reprehensible character and a snitch, and someone that I thought really sold out the party in a nasty way. And that because I had so much respect for the party, I automatically felt that he was the enemy in my eye. As I got into doing more research, I started to find, you got to think about it. These people were, first of all, very young, and significantly younger than I am now. I'm talking 17, 18, 19, 20, which is far more impressionable. And that's number one. And number two is, I think that Bill O'Neill actually wanted the same thing as Fred Hampton in a strange way. Upward mobility, freedom, access to wealth, but in a different way. You know, wealth and Fred Hampton's idea represented a communion of people and being able to live freely in a society. But wealth and O'Neill's idea had to do with being able to be free within yourself to move how you want and be able to exercise from a position of power. And so one could argue that the two philosophies just exist on two sides of the same spectrum, but they're just different ways of trying to go about and achieve the same thing. So that also gave me a little bit more insight into him and made me think about the character differently. And also, because I didn't have enough of his life story, because all of his operations were clandestine, and because there was only interviews and court transcripts and different second and third hand accounts of him, I couldn't really judge him because I didn't know him. All I knew was the things that he did. So I try to get out of my own way and not really judge. And half of it was what I knew, half of it was my imagination.
Sure, thank you.
This is Rye, the movie guy from the Cinema Jaw podcast. LaKeith, there's a line that you deliver in the movie that's a real stinger. A badge is scarier than a gun. Can films like this change that perception?
Well, I think they can help us hold people that are behind the badge to a certain standard. Once the veil is lifted upon what the propaganda leading up to this point has shown, now we have something to counteract that idea. I think the badge and the gun go hand in hand. I think the badge is the gun, actually, and the badge only means something because of a gun. I think O'Neill was a little off in his assessment that a badge, well, not totally, because there's some things about a badge that might indicate and inspire fear in somebody, but I don't think that's a universal truth. I think actually the gun supports the badge, and without the gun, the badge doesn't mean much. But hopefully films like this help people to see that the government was actually more, if not as fearful or more fearful than Bill O'Neill was, of the prospect that there might be someone that threatened the status quo. So what does that say about the badge? You know, is it secure?
Hi, LaKeith. This is Linda. I'm Al Lerner from moviesandshakers.com, and congratulations on this role. You are really the only conflicted character in this movie. Everyone else has their stand. They have their path, whether it's Jesse Plemons, whether it's J. Edgar Hoover, whether it's Daniel Kaluuya, and it all culminates in the assassination. Can you tell us a little bit about your emotion, what you went through in preparing for that scene where you deliver the drugs and then driving away and knowing what's going to happen?
Yeah, that scene was tough. It was a hard day for everybody. The energy on set was unlike any other day. The great people who designed the set decoration created a space that zapped you right back into, obviously we had done research, so we'd seen the inside of the apartment many, many times and the place where the murder took place. And we shot that scene on the 50th anniversary of Fred Hampton's death. And it was just a really heavy energy. And I had understood very recently what it meant to lose someone close to me. Up until that point, it was just an imagination or a conception that I had. But since I lost my brother who was close to me, and he was 23, to being killed by his brother, I kind of understood and had an idea about what it meant to lose someone, have someone there 1 minute and have them gone the next. So it was a heavy day. And I would try and keep myself as jovial as I could be because it wasn't necessary for me in that scene to be weeping profusely. So I try to maintain balance in the space as LaKeith Stanfield. And then once the cameras came on, I had to be Bill O'Neill and deliver this drug. But the scene prior indicated that Bill didn't even know that he was going to have to kill Fred Hampton. So I wanted him to struggle in that scene with the idea that, here's this powerful person talking about having to go back to prison and saying 5 years is nothing. I'll do that. It's not about me. It's about the people. And here I am having to give him a glass of Kool-Aid, which I know will knock him out when they come to do what they come to do. So it was a tough night for everybody. And I think we all left the set that day a little bit different than we arrived.
Hey, LaKeith, this is Emmanuel or Eman from Eman's Movie Reviews out here in Chicago. I just kind of wanted to piggyback off of that because I understand that, actors like yourself and Daniel, you guys really dive deep into your process, especially getting into character and all. And I'm just kind of wondering, like, how are you? How's your process after all of this? And what are you doing to take care of yourself?
Thanks for asking that. That makes me a little emotional because no one has even asked about that. And, I definitely came out of this role immediately needing therapy and needing to get through things. And I think going into in the future, I will definitely employ that before I dive in. As you say, like we go 110% without sometimes thinking about self-care. And it's important. And, it does have an effect. There were times on set where my hands just went completely numb. There were times where I had existential crises and panic attacks and had to run out of the trailer and just not knowing if I was doing the right thing, even by playing this character. It felt like it would be a big stigma on me personally, even having to take on a character like this. So I think it helps to have people that can guide you and who understand psychology and emotional alchemy and navigating those things in order to help you out. And now that I have a therapist, it's been much better. But yeah, thanks for asking that, man. I'm doing much better. But yeah, it was hard. I had alopecia that was in remission that came back as a result of the stress associated with it. So, you gotta sometimes be careful and manage yourself a bit. So I appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, LaKeith. I'm LRA Stanek from the Neon Movie Bunker. Watching this film and then also having recently watched Sorry to Bother You Again, both Cassius Green and Bill are manipulated by establishment forces. But the eventual outcome for both characters, Cassius ends up becoming a leader, whereas Bill does not. How is it as an actor going through and not getting that catharsis of the character.
That's an interesting parallel I hadn't really thought about. You know, in both cases, it was eye-opening for me to go through the process of playing these characters, and I thought about the ways in which metaphorically the stories applied to my journey, and how much is too much, when to say no. I think that's the most important thing, when to know, when to take back your own agency and not put it in the place of people to make decisions for you. So I recently just got an offer for a commercial, and it was a lot of money, more money than I've ever seen in my life. And I thought about it. I was like, do I really? But it was for selling something that I don't use and that I don't think anyone else should use. So I had to ask myself, is it, what do you want to situate yourself next to? And is that more important than all this money? Christmas would be great next year for everybody, but how are you going to feel? So I declined it. And I think those things, you gotta go with your gut. You gotta go with what you feel. And I just have trust and faith that the rest will fall in place and be there, and that we don't make decisions based off of a lack, and we try to make decisions based off of abundance and knowing that, as long as you stay the path, you'll be all right. So these characters help reinforce that idea in me. And to that extent, I'm unlike both of them. And but the reason why I can be that is because I know what I don't want to be, and I know who I am. So yeah, sometimes characters help show that.
Once again, thank you for meeting with us and your answers to these questions. And I'm Andrea Thompson from A Reel of One's Own, by the way. So honest. So after all these other questions, and also I'm so sorry for your loss that you mentioned. And I guess the only question I have is, how exactly did you make it through the filming, playing a role like this in this particular film? How did you make it through and give that incredible performance that you did?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
No, not alone. With a great group of people who were, very supporting of everything and understanding. The director really helped guide me through everything and find balance. And the people of Chicago, they showed up and they helped us in these big giant crowds who really cared about Chairman Fred Hampton's legacy, and really helped us make this movie. Obviously, it wouldn't be possible without them. And a belief in the greater good. I didn't believe too much in O'Neill in terms of leaving a legacy as a part of this film, but I do believe in Chairman Fred Hampton, and I wanted to help support that story any way I could, even if it meant being the foil. And it took a long time for me to be comfortable with that, but you got to believe in things bigger than yourself. It wasn't really about me. It's about keeping this legacy going. And even now, every time I see the trailer, I'm just crying because I'm like, I never imagined that I'd have a chance in my career to be a part of something that's so meaningful to me and hopefully meaningful to everyone else.
Thank you again for what you managed to do in this film. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And thank you for your honesty.
Thanks.
I imagine it's difficult.
All
Thank
right,
you
well,
so
that